Here's what we're talking about on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for being here with us. We're going to take a look at the latest Eagles injury report, the Birds making a couple of roster moves, an Eagles defender named a breakout star by ESPN, and Jalen Hurts landing inside the NFL Top 100 all the way up at number 3 a year after he wasn't even on the NFL Top 100. Let's first take a gander at the Eagles injury report. Some new names, some existing names here. Deon Cain still out because of that ankle injury. He hasn't practiced in a really long time. More thoughts on him coming up here in just a moment. Nakobe Dean, no practice for the third consecutive practice, but pretty much the fourth straight practice because he got hurt very early in that fourth practice back several days ago. Patrick Johnson, it's not a season ender, but still not on the practice field with that ankle injury. Devon Allen, he is back, limited participant after he suffered that calf injury while he was doing some track events a few weeks ago. And James Bradberry, out the last couple of days, limited participant with that groin injury. As for some Eagles roster moves here, you have Devon Allen getting activated. The Philadelphia Eagles did sign wide receiver Johnny King, formerly of the Indianapolis Colts. Couple of players released here. Offensive tackle Chim Okorafor out of Benedictine College. Massive size, 6'7", 330 pounds. I wanted to see what he was going to be able to do in the preseason coming up this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens, but clearly Philadelphia didn't think that he was an NFL caliber player, at least as of yet. And then another offensive tackle, Trevor Reid, released by the Birds as well. Some roster thoughts that I want to pass along here. I think it's really important for Devon Allen to get on the field and show that he's made some strides, if any, as a football player. At Oregon, did some good things. But primarily, he has been a track star as one of the fastest guys in the United States and one of the fastest sprinters in the entire world. A very, very good hurdler. But as a football player, has he had any signs of growth from last year? Is he a better wide receiver? Can he impact this team in the return game? As a kick returner, he might be able to give you a little bit more as compared to a guy like Britton Covey. So he needs reps to crack this roster. He's already on the outside looking in because he's missed so much time. A guy like Joseph Nagata has been able to impress a lot of people as UDFA out of Clemson. Important here for Devon Allen to get on the field just to be able to show what he can do in the practices, the scrimmages, and the preseason games that the Eagles have remaining. And then for Deon Cain, USFL Championship Game MVP. He was one of the final cuts for Philadelphia when they cut down that roster to 53 players last year. Him not being able to practice is not ideal for his hopes of making the 53. He can land on the practice squad like he did last year, but as far as making the actual team, he hasn't been able to show what he's been able to do. Joseph Nagata, on the other hand, he's been performing well. Very good athlete, intriguing size, jump ball wide receiver out of Clemson. You all asked for it, so we made it. You're all a part of the Real One roll call and the Real One movement, but shout out to Hashtag. It's one of our loyal subscribers. He was like on the live show the other day, why don't you make some Real John Real One shirts? So we made some Real John shirts available in the Kelly Green because the Kelly Green jerseys are back, but also you can get this shirt in black as well. This is the vintage Philadelphia Eagles text from when they had the Kelly Green jerseys back a couple of decades ago. Chatsports.com/RealJohn. Plug in that link, get your shirts. And then if you send me a photo of you rocking a shirt, I guarantee you we're going to get you on the show. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. And of course, if you are a real one, type Real John down below and hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. Let's continue to move forward with today's show. ESPN's Bill Barnwell putting together a list of some potential breakout stars who are really going to impress a lot of people in 2023. Jordan Davis, the candidate for Philadelphia here. And here's what Barnwell had to say about the big boy, Jordan Davis, going into year 2. He was sidelined in midseason by a high ankle sprain last year. Then the Eagles added Ndamukong and Linval Joseph during his time on IR. He didn't regain his role. After playing about 33% of defensive snaps before the injury, Jordan Davis was down to 18% after returning. Most of his playoff playing time came with the Eagles leading by multiple scores in the second half. Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter will be in place to try and create pass rushing opportunities on the interior, so that won't be Davis's primary responsibility, but he needs to help improve Philadelphia's rush defense. Ladies and gentlemen, this is something I've talked about a lot here on the show because, according to Barnwell here, that's an area in which Jordan Davis can help, and the numbers certainly back that up. The Eagles had the NFL's 7th worst success rate on rush defense last year, and they were the league's worst defense in power situations. Who's powerful? Jordan Davis. He can play an essential role in helping them firm up the ground, or against that ground game, I should say. And last year, backed up by the numbers, backed up by the eye test, I understand that bringing in Ndamukong as well as Linval Joseph certainly did a lot to improve what had been and what really was a lackluster Eagles rushing defense. Jordan Davis, just because he's 6'6", 340, agile for that size, very athletic, very powerful, he's going to demand double teams. He's going to occupy a lot of real estate along that defensive line. So already his presence, I think, is going to be able to help. He just needs to be able to stay on the field a little bit longer. The problem at Georgia, he was a two-down player. A couple of reasons for that. Georgia wanted to get some of their young players who were 4 or 5-star recruits some playing time so that they didn't transfer. Also, Georgia that year, they were blowing out squads en route to the national championship, so of course, they're going to take Jordan Davis off the field. But he was top 10 in Heisman Trophy voting as a nose tackle. You don't see that often, and I think with Davis going into year 2, being in better shape is just going to do wonders for him as a football player, because that should lead to better stamina, and the better stamina should lead to better play for JD heading into his sophomore campaign. Another reminder, join us on Saturday. Watch parties are back. EAGLES, Eagles, live play-by-play, audience interaction, super chat giveaways. Will you be tuned in for our watch party this weekend? Type me. Can't wait for it to go down on Saturday. Kickoff set between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. Our pregame show. So our coverage of preseason game number 1 will start at 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. Eagles looking to defend that NFC crown, and it all starts with football being back, preseason game number 1. Let's round out the show with this. Jalen Hurts checking in at number 3 on the NFL's top 100 players list. This list voted on by Jalen Hurts' peers, so other players across the National Football League. And this is pretty wild, right? The first reaction I had for Jalen Hurts checking in at number 3, what a rise, because he wasn't even in the top 100 last year. The other takeaway, how respected he is by some of the other players across the National Football League. For instance, Chris Jones, who I think is the best defensive tackle in the game right now. He unseated Aaron Donald a year ago, in my opinion, of the Kansas City Chiefs. He said that was the best quarterback Super Bowl performance that he's ever seen. And then during that little segment, when Hurts clocked in at number 3, multiple players across the league saying, this guy can carve you up as a passer, he can run it, he's everything that you want in a leader, he's only going to continue to get better. A guy like Patrick Mahomes even said, who came in at number 1, I expect to take on Jalen Hurts in a lot of big games for the remainder of my career. And you look at this Eagles organization, right, since 2000, since Donovan McNabb, they have had little stability at the quarterback position after Donovan had left. Now, I understand his career went on about a decade after that, but yet Donovan in the early 2000s up until he left. After that, though, Kevin Cobb, Michael Vick, Mark Sanchez, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz, Sam Bradford. Now you're starting to get a little bit of stability at that quarterback position, and hopefully Hurts can be that guy for the next decade. Because if you could check that box of having a legit quarterback, you're going to be able to be a Super Bowl contender more times than not. So the NFL top 100 rankings here, Patrick Mahomes, to no surprise really, comes in at number 1. Justin Jefferson as a wide receiver at 2 surprised me a bit. Jalen Hurts at 3. I was surprised that he was so high. Nick Bosa, the defending Defensive Player of the Year at number 4, and then Travis Kelce at number 5. This was also a list that featured a lot of Philadelphia Eagles on it. Devontae Smith cracked the top 100 at 100. Darius Slay voted number 65. Hassan Reddick a little bit too low. The same can be said for Lane Johnson. Reddick and Lane coming in at 48 and 41 respectively. Jason Kelce was a lot higher last year. This year, number 37. A.J. Brown, after a record-breaking season last year, at number 22. That's pretty high praise. And then Jalen Hurts, the highest Philadelphia Eagle on this list, third-ranked player in the league at number 3. 7 players total for Philadelphia in the top 100, and goes to show you how loaded this roster is going into 2023. So fly, Eagles, fly. This roster straight up stacked. This team should be able to compete for a Super Bowl once again, and you know we're going to cover this squad every step of the way, win or lose. Before we hop on out of here, down in the comment section, give me a Go Birds! And thanks for watching the show. We'll catch you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Peace!